Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Tier 6 British self-propelled gun, the FV304. So is it any good? Yeah, it's really good. Very fun to play. A lot of fun. It's, if you remember, if you've seen my review of the Bishop, the Tier 5 British artillery, that had a maximum range of 500 meters, and this tank also has a maximum range of 500 meters, so it's short range once again. But if I had made a list of everything, every complaint I had about the Bishop, it's like they went away, fixed every issue I had a complaint about, and came back and said, here's the FV304. It really is that good. So it has 280 hit points, which is about average for Tier 6 artillery. The lowest in Tier 6 is sort of 270, the highest is 300, so it's smack in the middle there. Weight-wise, it weighs in at 21 tons, which is average. And speed-wise, this thing is very fast. It's also very small, as you can see. It has a quoted top speed of 72 kilometers an hour. Now, it will definitely reach 72 downhill. However, on the flat, it's kind of more like 60 kilometers an hour. It would take a long time to get to 72. In reverse, it does 14, which is also fairly respectable. Now, to give you an idea, the next fastest would be the French AMX 13 F3AM, which does 60 kilometers an hour and forward. So it's very fast. It's not, however, very maneuverable. The track traverse is 24, which is average. So, but the French one, for example, has a track traverse of 30. So there you've got one that's fast and maneuverable. The FV is fast, but not maneuverable. And actually, I'll just show a short clip to show you just how the maneuverability is. That yeah, it's fast straight line, but it doesn't turn well. We're losing badly. I've been spotted and I've just been shot. So it's time to start moving and go into TD mode. There's an SU-152 there. I know I'm not going to live very long. I was hoping he was going to pop out. He's not, so I'm going to try and go behind him. But this will show you that, yeah, straight line, very quick. How does it turn? Oops, couldn't turn. Had to stop, traverse. Okay, so his traverse is pretty much as bad as me. He couldn't make it around here either. We managed to get a shot in, but I've been hit by a Carnarvon, so I'm not long for the world. There you go. So we can see there that we're not going to outmaneuver any light or medium tanks, but against other tank destroyers, you do stand a fighting chance. Now, the turret traverse, and remember the turret traverse isn't big. I'm introducing some new stats. As I'm learning more about artillery, I'm going to introduce some more stats. So I'm including stats in aim and reload times, as well as the gun arc. Now this has a traverse speed, so the turret moving from side to side, of 21, which is the fastest. What that means is you can make small adjustments in your aim quite quickly without having to turn your tracks. So 21 is good. Has a view range of 310 meters, which is the worst of all of the self-propelled guns. The next worst would be the SU-8 with 350, so it is significantly worse. So you really need to be in a bush or something if you possibly can, remembering that you've only got 500 meter range, so you do have to be close to the main battle line. So that view range means that if you're out in the open, you're probably going to get spotted by the enemy before you spot them, which means the first warning you'll get is when your tank explodes. So the signal range on this is 700, which is also, it's on the lower side of average, it's not very good. But because you've got to be within 500 meters of the front lines, it doesn't really matter. Camouflage wise, this tank is awesome. It's very small, as you can see, and actually let's show you a size comparison. I've got a Hellcat here. Everyone knows a Hellcat. There's a Hellcat. And there's the FV304. So you can see that it's very small. And the Hellcat has obviously very good camouflage. So this has very good camouflage. The AMX, the French RT, also has very good camouflage, but the British FV is better than that. And it really has the camouflage of a light tank. So very good, which is great because you are near the front lines. And that was one of my big complaints with the Bishop. The Bishop was very high and had poor camouflage, and you did get spotted when you're near the front lines. This is much better. Now, I will mention gun depression elevation, just the figures I have, but bear in mind it's very ambiguous, so I'm not going to go into it. Has a gun depression of minus 1.5 degrees, elevation of 45 degrees. Now the gun arc on this tank is 31 degrees, and this is a new stat I'm introducing to my reviews of artillery. The reason I'm introducing that is the amount that the gun can traverse is not so important at these lower tiers. As we go up to the next tier, it becomes important. But the reason it's important is you can move your gun without really losing your aim. But once you have to move your tracks and turn your tank, your aim goes way off and you have to start re-aiming. Now that's a big problem when you get to the higher tiers where you're looking at a 20-30 second aim time. In this tier, you're looking at sort of anywhere from 4 to 7 seconds aim time. It's not too much of a problem, but I'm introducing it now anyway. So this has a 31 degree arc, which is about average. However, the Su-8, the Russian one, only has 17 degrees, but on the extreme side, the M44 American has 60 degrees. So that one, you don't lose your aim very easily. Well, it's quite good. So this one's about average. Now, the maximum range of the gun is only 500 meters, which is very, very short. All of the others have a minimum of 1250 meters at this tier. So you really are quite a different piece of artillery. Now, reload time wise, this gun reloads in 11.5 seconds with a fully trained crew. That is very, very fast indeed. The next fastest is the M44 with 21.1 seconds. And then we shoot up to 26.3 seconds on the Su-8. And it goes right out to 30 seconds on the Hummel. So you can see that 11.5 seconds, very fast, which means you can shoot almost 3 shells for every shell the Hummel shoots. That said, the shells do low damage and have a low splash radius. So yeah. But it does mean that as soon as you look at a tank, you can fire. And then by the time you've actually aimed, you can fire again, which is a great little asset because sometimes when you do that first fire, you just hit tanks. The aim time is 4.32 seconds, which is also the fastest of any of the tier 6 artillery. The next fastest would be the M44 with 5.75, and the others are all 6.71. So quick aim time, quick reload makes this thing mean you can just keep pumping out shells, pumping out shells, pumping out shells. Really, really good. The other great thing about this is it has a very high arc, which was the other major problem with the Bishop. The Bishop, you had to get close, you had poor camouflage, and you had a low gun arc. This thing, you still have to get close, but you've got good camouflage and a good gun arc. In fact, it's very good gun arc. The shell travels very high and comes down, which means that people who think they're safe behind a rock, they're often not safe from you. Also, in maps where there's a lot of buildings, you can actually drive into the map, get reasonably close to a building, shoot over the building and hit people who are also sort of hiding behind buildings. Because you're quick, then you can maneuver your tank, move to another location if you're having trouble hitting someone, and try and hit them from another angle. So it is, in that respect, very, very good. The trick is to do that without getting spotted. But yeah, shooting over things, it's really good. And on Himmelsdorf, for example, where most artillery is semi-useless, this thing you can just park down the bottom of the Himmelsdorf hill and hit everyone, not only on the top, but down the other side of the hill as well. And you can really have fun on Himmelsdorf because people are not expecting to get hit on the way up the hill, or they back down and think they're safe, and you can still hit them. Really, really fun. Alright, let's have a look at the grind for this little ripper. So I think I was able to get the engine and the radio straight away simply because I've got so many British tanks. And look, the engine, we go from 350 horsepower to 500, which is a huge increase in power, so I imagine it would make a fair bit of difference. The tracks, obviously being artillery, you want to get your tracks because it'll help you turn and aim more quickly. Track traverse is a very important stat in artillery because it allows you to aim, change your aim, big changes in aim much more quickly. Now, you start off with the gun, this gun, and then you go to this gun. Now, the gun is actually the same gun as you had on the Bishop. 57 penetration, 450 damage. In fact, let me double check that stat. Alright, so yeah, it is exactly the same gun. Which you may say, well, that's disappointing because the Bishop didn't exactly do a lot of damage. Well, it's better than it sounds. The gun does work a little bit better in the FV than it did in the Bishop. For example, the rate of fire has gone from 4.65 up to 5, which is very fast. The penetration is the same at 57, and the damage is the same at 450, and once again, high explosive ammunition is the only ammunition available to the gun. The accuracy has improved from 0.72 to 0.7. The aiming time remains exactly the same at 4.5. So it's a little bit more accurate, and the rate of fire is a little bit better. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. So you're going to say, well, wasn't that good in the Bishop? It was okay, but we're a tier higher. We're still doing the same damage and still got terrible splash radius. Why is this good? The difference is this fires in a high arc where the Bishop had a low arc. So with the Bishop, you tended to hit people. If you were shooting at the side of their tank, you would hit the side of their tank, or you would hit their turret. If you're shooting at the front of the tank, you would hit the front of the tank, or you hit the front of their turret. Because this has a high gun arc, you tend to come down on top of the tank much more often. So we're hitting, for example, the top deck, or the back deck, or the top of the turret, not the side of the turret. So hitting thinner armor, and you tend to do better damage. So even though it's the same gun, we're doing higher damage simply because of the gun arc. So it's a lot better than it sounds. So yeah, the strategy I found with this tank was really, obviously, drive to a position where you have a little bit of cover, either from bushes or a gentle slope where you can park enough on the slope where no one can the enemy can't see you, but you're close enough to get shots in. And then just start firing. Fire before you aim, and then wait till it aims and fire again when you've aimed. Because the reload and aiming is so quick, you can get away with doing it. Just keep pumping out the shots, keep them going out there. And indeed, when you track a tank with a shot, you can just keep it aimed on it, wait to reload and fire again. The tank will probably, if they haven't used the repair kit, they'll probably still be tracked because your rate of fire is so high. So just to recap, this thing is very fast in a straight line, although it doesn't turn that well. Has very short range, 500 meters. Has a very high gun arc, which allows you to, one, you're hitting the tops of tanks doing a bit more damage, but allows you to fight in towns, as well as some really tricky rocky areas. You're a very small target with great camouflage. This thing has great rate of fire. Unfortunately, defects, low damage, still does low damage, low splash radius. But other than that, it's awesome. It really is awesome. Now my crew is currently fully trained, but if they're not fully trained in the games I'm showing you, I'll let you know. I have vents fitted. I can't remember if my gun rammer or lane driver are a recent addition. I'll let you know in the game anyway. So we'll go quickly into Tank Inspector, have a look, and then we'll go into some gameplay. Okay, so let's have a look at the FV304 in Tank Inspector. Something I've just realised we can do in Tank Inspector that would be helpful as well for the review is I can show off the gun traverse. So if we move the cursor here, you can see here the elevation and the gun depression. As you see, it does not depress very much at all. Yeah, but elevation is of course pretty high. But yeah, so from side to side we can see the gun arc there. That's just how far it moves. Not too bad. Not too bad, 31 degrees I think it was. Let's have a look at the armor now. And we can see the front armor here is 25mm thick. Now we're playing a tier 6, so that's nothing. And the same with our turreted area. It's nothing. Here top deck 10mm, so if enemy artillery manages to land one on us, we're pretty much dead. Side 25mm, rear 25mm. There isn't really anything else to say about it.
Time to roll out.
The map is Siegfried Line. It's a pretty tough lineup for this tank. It's a tier 8 match and we're in our tier 6 FV304. As you can see right off the bat, I'm going probably the opposite direction to most artillery because I need to be close. Hadn't played this line with this tank before, so I was just trying to find a spot where I'd have some sort of camo but be close enough to hit. So I thought this looks pretty good just here. There's a few bushes. I'll park here, knock a tree down for a bit of extra cover, back up again. Now my crew is 89% trained. That's all the crew members are 89% trained in this game. So it was one of my earlier games in the tank. Now some tanks have been spotted, so you see here I fire already, not waiting for full aim, and we went close. because the rate of fire is so high, it's worth just getting the shots out there. Now I can't quite hit this STA where it is. Japanese tanks have terrible armor, so it will be a juicy one. I fire there, and we hit him. See that there was no explosion, so I know that shot hit him. And the luxury of this tank, I'm waiting to fire another shot in the same spot. We fire again. Now that one you see the explosion, so we didn't hit, he's moved. The luxury of this tank is because it's so rapid firing, you can just keep pumping shots out there, even if it's a chancy shot, even if you're not fully aimed. Whereas, you know, I'm playing the Crusader at the moment, the tier 7 version, and much longer aiming time, much longer load time. You tend to not want to fire unless you're fully aimed, because you'll waste your shot and then it takes so long to re-aim again, or reload again. I fired a shot there, we miss, but don't worry, we'll be reloaded again very quickly. So yeah, as I was saying, it's a tier 8 match. Now, the enemy artillery has popped up, but as you can see, he's out of my range, so I can't fire at him. ARL 44, fairly weakly armoured tank, good armour on the front, but still chance to do good damage. 202, not too bad. Someone else has hit him, and now he's in a lot of trouble. And someone nails him. Tier 6 heavy tank. So, can we get another shot on this STA? Oh, 425 into the side. Very nice. Now, that's a lot more damage than we would have done if we were in the Bishop, simply because we hit it on the head. In fact, we wouldn't have been able to hit that tank in the Bishop, because the gun arc would have meant we would have hit the building instead. So as you can see, even though we're reasonably close to buildings, this tank with its high gun arc does still allow us to hit tanks. And our great camo means that we still haven't been spotted. Looking for something I can hit. Once again, another artillery spotted, and that is a problem with this tank. Unfortunately, usually you cannot hit enemy artillery because they're almost always out of range, unless it's near the end of the game and you're moving up.
Critical hit.
Now you can see with the heavily armoured tanks, yeah, the higher tier tanks, tier 8 sort of tanks, tend not to do as much damage. The Japanese tanks are an exception. So, tending to do lower damage. 206 is good though. The other thing I was thinking about, you know, if you're a new player, artillery is probably not a great thing to play, because there's a lot of guesswork involved, in that you need to sort of anticipate where tanks are going to go, because it takes your shell so long to get there. Especially with some of the higher tiers where you're firing from further away with some of the longer range guns. This one is actually more forgiving because you're closer range, the shell's not taking as long to get there. And that kind of helps if you've driven heavy tanks, light tanks, medium tanks, because you kind of understand a little bit more. You can kind of guess what they're thinking, and you can have a look at their gameplay and kind of think, okay, this person's going to pop out, have a shot and pop back, or this person's going to stay out there because they're going to rely on their armor. So it kind of allows you to anticipate a little bit more what they're going to do, which is handy. That said, I haven't been able to get my mastery in this tank yet. I think there's a lot of people having very good games in it, which is making it a little hard. Rear of the Type 59 there, big damage, 499. Very nice. I didn't have a choice there but to fire in front, so I did. Now, I actually got fired at by a Chaffee, but he didn't do any damage. He was unlucky, probably absorbed by my tracks. And the game ends. Now, I will admit that during that game I wasn't paying attention and the enemy did cap. If I'd realised, I probably would have tried to do something about it. But you can see there we did okay. We hit quite a few tanks. For a tier 8 game, in a tier 6 tank, we did pretty well. So we finished third on our team for XP, but we finished well on top for damage. And that is one of the things with artillery. You tend, well, I tend anyway, not to earn very high XP even when you do quite well, because you're not getting spotting damage, and it was particularly with these British low tier ones, you're not getting much tracking damage either, because you're not getting much splash damage. So yeah, it's very hard to earn XP in these tanks. So now if we'd won, this may have been close to a mastery game if we'd won, but unfortunately we lost. Next screen, and we fired 17 rounds, of which 9 direct hits, including some splash damage on them. Damage, we did 2,226, which is very good damage for a tier 6 and tier 8 game. And we can see that 1,500 of that was from a distance beyond 300 meters. We did get hit once there, but it actually says penetrated, but I think it just did damage to our tracks. Enemy vehicles damaged 6, but we didn't destroy anybody. It is a little hard with this gun, the low damage, to destroy tanks at this tier. And we actually did do a little bit of probably spotting damage due to damage we did to tracks, probably. Now, 33,000 for the game and 29,000 profit, so it is a very profitable tank in that respect, but generally the earnings are down simply because it's difficult in artillery, low damage artillery, to earn high profit. Next game.
Let's get this show on the road.
The map is Cliff. It's a tier 6 game, so we are tier 6, so this time we're in our element. Also, there aren't many heavy tanks on your position team, which means that we'll be able to do good damage to the tanks that we do hit. As you can see, very, very fast. We're doing 60 something now. Like I said, the 72 is that its quoted speed is a bit ambitious. It doesn't really go that fast, but unless you're down a steep hill on the flat, but about 60 is quite achievable in this. Now, I decided to park here because a little bit of slope. I'm a little bit covered from the hill. I've got a little bit of trees, but it allows me to cover or aim at a wide area of the map, given that my range isn't very good. Now, this tank just moves into range. I fire, and he kept moving. Now, my crew is 95% trained in this game, except for my commander. My commander is now 100% trained. I sort of spent gold to train him up. And I have now got vents fitted, a gun rammer, and a gun laying drive fitted. In the previous game, I had vents and camo net and binoculars fitted, which only because I wasn't sure I was going to keep the tank. I'm now very sure I'm going to keep the tank, so I spent a bit more money on equipment for it. Hellcats are great to hit, open-topped tank destroyers. If you hit them, you can do big damage to them. Unfortunately, they're very quick. But I'm just going to spam shots out there and hopefully they run into one. So I'm trying to anticipate his movement. Reloaded, fire. Here we go. He stopped for a second. Oh, we missed. Somebody else gets the kill. But you can see here I can cover a fairly big area right out to both sides of the map from this position. And we get a fantastic shot there, doing 450 damage and killing that Type T-34. I think that was his entire hit points, maybe. I fired a shot there before I even aimed. Didn't hit it, but it's worth doing it because by the time you're fully aimed, reload it anyway. Fire another shot there just to see in case he was there. Don't even look to see if it hits because I want to aim at this ELC AMX. Very tricky spot here up near the lighthouse, and they can do... Little scout tanks can do a lot of damage to your team by spotting you. So I really want to get this guy. Currently there is one other tank spotted, the KV-1S. That's probably what I should now be shooting at because this ELC AMX is small and fast and very hard to hit. But he was really irritating me. And I was also worried he was going to spot me and end my game. So I really wanted to get rid of him. But as you can see, very elusive, very hard to hit. He knows that artillery is shooting at him and he's not staying anywhere for very long at all. And he doesn't want to shoot anyone. All he really wants to do is keep spotting tanks so that his teammates can hit him. So he's playing a scout the way a scout should be played. So I can't knock him for that. I just want him to stay still so I can hit him. Pretty close that time. Come on, we've got to get this guy. Now really, I should have, looking at this replay, I really should have gone and started shooting at somebody else. I did fire a shot there just to test whether this building could be destroyed. It obviously can't be destroyed, so oh well. Now he's hiding big time, but you can see there his spotting worked. Our light tank that was up there to try and get him did get killed, probably by the enemy artillery. Now this VK is doing the right thing. He's just saying, stuff it, I'm going to get you, and moving right in. That allows me now to get a shot, because ERC had to make a mistake. He stayed in one area too long, and we got a little bit lucky. I don't know if we did any crit damage to him. Hopefully we did. That was a close one again. So now he's feeling the pressure and he decides to move off. Now look at the gun arc on this gun. Even though he's down on that rock, our gun arc is still good enough to get shots. Now we didn't hit with that one. It did hit the rock. Most people would not think they could be hit here by artillery and wouldn't be watching out for it. Well, maybe we can't hit him. Nah, that Hellcat's out of range, so let's have a look again at this ELC. I'll fire again. Oh! Did I hit my own tank? It was close. No, didn't get him. Now, I should have used the T button there, press T to indicate that I was hitting him. I usually do it. I don't know why I didn't there, but just let your teammates know not to ram the tank because you are firing at it and they may move into your line of fire. Game is still pretty even. It's 10-all. So if both teams have 5 tanks left. I spent way too much time focusing on that ELC for not much result. Missed with that shot. This tank is getting massacred by our team, and I don't get a chance to partake in the feast. We're down to 10. Oh no, it's even still. Both teams still have an artillery. Enemy has 3 tank destroyers as well, and we have 2 TDs and a KV-1S heavy tank. And it's all tier 6s remaining. So right now we're waiting for them to advance. It looks like maybe they're waiting for us to advance. As you can see here, even though I'm on a ridge, I'm still concealed. It looks like enemy Hellcat has killed our KV-1S. That is the damage. When you're getting close to the end of the game, Hellcats can be very, very effective because they're so hard to see. And because there's so many tanks, that was a hit. We hit him. And because there's so many tanks on low health, Hellcats can just kill tanks with single shots. So we hit him, fired in the same spot again because I hoped he was tracked, but he has moved. So we're showing 784 damage, but we know we've done more damage than that. It's one thing with artillery, you kind of never know how much damage you've done until the end of the game. Even sometimes when you don't think you got a hit, you actually did. So in this spot I'm in, I do have cover from bushes. I'm just going to I was thinking of just firing at that bush, but then the Hellcat does get spotted. What you want is for him to hope he hasn't been seen, hoping he hasn't got 6th sense, so when we fire on him we get him by surprise, but he is engaged, he knows what's going on, so he's moving around a bit. And our enemy tanks kill him. Now there's a Nashorn here lining up, very dangerous gun. If he spots me, I'm in trouble because he can hit me from there. And we hit him. And he's been spotted again. Don't know how much damage we did to him, but we definitely hit him. And now he's been killed by our TD. Now it's 2 tanks all. It's our Hellcat and me against their Hummel and Panzer SL FIVC. He's coming at us. Here he is. He's on full health. Now we've hit him. Our friend has hit him. I'm trying to anticipate his movement, and he runs straight into our shell. So we get the kill. Very nice. So now it's just their artillery left. Time to get mobile again. And you'll be able to see here how the tank goes across this sort of terrain speed-wise. So about doing 45 against fairly rough terrain. Still accelerating a little bit. 48. It looks like we're not going to get above 48 or 49 in this bit. Oh no, we just hit 50. Not bad for that sort of terrain. So I'm just popping up here now to see if we can spot, because I don't know if the artillery is going to try and move towards our cap, if he had already been advancing, or whether he's just sitting back at his base. I just don't know. Fortunately, the Hellcat is on our team is smart, a good player, and he's playing well anyway, and he's sticking with me and moving ahead of me so that he will spot something, and then hopefully I'll get a chance to shoot it. Either that, or he just wants to kill the arty and he's just trying to get in front of me to do so. Look how fast we're going now, 67. Downhill it's fast. Now, that looked like someone just shot at us and missed. It looks like enemy artillery took a shot at us. We're doing 70 now. The speed we're doing now, artillery really would be very, very lucky to hit us, but it looked like it didn't miss us by very much. I'm going over here because I think this is where the enemy artillery will be. But I'm so close now, it can't be here. I would have spotted him. Our Hellcat is on the cap. A lot of artillery do like to sit around here, the long range artillery, but not there. So I decide, okay, I'll move into the cap as well. I don't know, the enemy artillery could be somewhere near our cap. Sorry, the replay ended, I just restarted it. And here we are. I take a position fairly advanced. Hopefully I can spot the enemy if he's around. At this stage I decide, okay, I'm just going to keep moving in case he decides to just spam the circle. I don't want to be a sitting duck, but he's been spotted, probably by our Hellcat. I'm turning to a position now where I can see him. He can't see me because I haven't been spotted. Take our time to aim. He was stationary. Fire.
Got him.
And one shot kill. End of the game, and we've capped as well. Okay, so Class 1 badge. Mastery. I haven't been able to do any better than Class 1 at this stage. I have had a couple of games where I've done more damage, like the last game you saw, which I think I would have got Mastery if we'd won the game. Good fun, this. Very good fun though. And this time, being at tier 6, we managed to get quite a few kills this time. So we can see that we finished on top for experience in this game, and we also finished on top for damage. We fired 25 shots, which demonstrates the rapid firing nature of this tank. Direct hits was 7 and 5 splash damage. Damage wise, we did 1,768, which is not bad at all. And you can see that only 945 of that was from a distance greater than 300 meters. So we had a few sort of closest range shots for artillery. We spotted 1. We actually damaged 7 and destroyed 4, which is a great result. And we also got 466 assistance damage, so we must have tracked quite a few tanks. And we also, I think we spotted that Panzer SFL there as well. Base capture points 37. And we did 39,000 income. We ended up with 32,000 profit. So when you have a good game, it is profitable. Now the 848, I think it is, XP was Class 1. So I'm thinking probably about 950 would be a mastery in this tank. It is harder to earn XP in these low damage tanks, so that would probably do it. Alright. Thank you for watching my review of the FV304. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun.